Hi everyone, SpeedyGoneCuber here, and I'm going to be comparing the MoYu RS3M 2020 to the MoYu RS3M 2021. So if you're deciding between the MoYu RS3M 2020 and the 2021 Maglev, then this video will tell you guys which one is better. So if you're deciding whether you should get the RS3M 2020 or the newer model, or you already have the 2020 edition and maybe you want to find out if it's worth upgrading, this video is for you. Now before I show you guys my comparison on the RS3Ms, you can find either one of these cubes on speedcubing.org, which is our sponsor, and remember, whatever cubes you buy from their store, you can use the discount code SpeedyGoneCuber and save 5% on your order. Firstly, I decided to film an average of 12 on both of these cubes. This was just a random average of 12 I decided to film to see what sorts of times I could get on these cubes, because obviously for each of these cubes, one of the main priority is my times. So I did an average of 12 for each of these cubes. On the MoYu RS3M 2020, I got a 10.61 average of 12, which is not that great for me, but it doesn't matter. It was just a random average of 12. And then after that, I did an average of 12 on the RS3M 2021 Maglev model. I got a 10.32 average of 12. So from looking at those averages, it looks like the RS3M 2021 is the better cube. However, let's compare the main difference between the 2020 model and the 2021 model, because they pretty much look exactly the same. So if you look inside the 2020 model, you can see it pretty much looks exactly the same as what it looks like inside the 2021 model. In fact, if you put these cubes side by side and try to find how they look on the outside, there is absolutely no difference. Yeah, both of these cubes are so similar. So what's the difference, you ask? Maglev. In the core, the 2020 model uses springs. Now, springs are alright, however, the 2021 model includes Maglev. For the core, Maglev is essentially using two repelling magnets instead of needing a spring, and this has so many benefits. Number one, it makes the cube have little to no friction, and also it makes the puzzle a lot faster. So do I think Maglev is better than springs? It's pretty clear that Maglev does make the cube faster, which can be a good thing. However, sometimes with Maglev, I find it to be a little bit too fast occasionally. Like sometimes it can be a little bit hard to control the cube, but usually that just takes getting used to. However, if you prefer slower and more controllable cubes, then perhaps go for the 2020 model. The next thing is the price. The RS3M 2020 costs £10, which is honestly amazing for a 3x3. And last year, everyone was saying that the 2020 model was such good value for money. Considering my main 3x3 is a GAN 11M Pro and my times are almost the same on this cube, it feels great, and the fact that you can get this for such a reasonable price is honestly amazing. The 2021 model, on the other hand, is a little bit more expensive at £13, but still it's pretty reasonable for a cube that is this good and has Maglev. Alright, and the next thing is corner cutting. Now, as both of these cubes are pretty much the same except for Maglev, I can basically say that both of these cubes have pretty much identical corner cutting. You can see this one corner cuts 45 degrees, this one corner cuts 45 degrees. You kind of don't need to really test corner cutting on a speed cube anymore, because corner cutting is pretty much perfect on all the latest flagships. Here is some turning on the 2020 model. And here is some turning on the 2021 model. Maglev compared to springs sounds slightly different when you turn, and the main thing I can say about this is that the 2020 model isn't as fast as the 2021 model. You would expect that with Maglev it would be a bit quieter, however I actually find it to be the opposite. I feel like the 2021 model is quite loud. If you're cubing quite often, for some people around you it might be quite annoying having quite a loud cube, so that's something to keep in mind when buying the 2021 Maglev. But both of these cubes are still pretty neck and neck. Before I carry on with the comparison, I'd like to announce that I've made some of my merchandise cheaper. However, to celebrate the end of the year and Christmas, if you celebrate it, I've decided to extend that discount code until the 31st of December. Although that discount code is now 5% off. So if you were thinking of buying something on that store and found it was too expensive, then I recommend looking back at the merch store because I have moved some of the prices down. Carrying on, which cube is more controllable? I'll have to give that to the 2020 model. I find Maglev to be a little bit too fast sometimes. I do love Maglev. Without Maglev, it is slightly more controllable. Like, I don't find Maglev to be uncontrollable anymore, but I still find springs to be slightly more controllable. Both cubes are really great in terms of customization. Now you can see you have a dual adjustment system inside the core, which I find to be really good because I can make it looser and tighter. The fact that you can get this available customization on both of these cubes is really useful. Now none of these cubes let you adjust the magnets, although I think I've heard somewhere where you can buy magnets and put them on to each other, but I've never tried that, so I can't really tell you guys that that's definitely a good idea. But you can still customize the tensions, which is one of the most powerful ways of adjusting. Now let's go on to the solving experience, probably one of the most important aspects on each of these cubes. This is gonna have to go to the RS3M 2021. Because it's a fast cube, I find it extremely fun to solve on. I never ever have to worry about this cube being too slow because it's honestly incredibly fast. When I solve on the RS3M 2020, it's not too slow, it's just a little bit slower than what I would like it to be. Whereas the 2021 model, I find it to be a great speed, but the RS3M 2021, still really fast, but still a great speed. Now for the final decision, which one of these cubes do I think is better? Now if you want the better cube, then I would recommend the RS3M 2021. I personally prefer this cube to the 2020 model, but it could be different for some people's turning styles. Like if some people think they might not be able to handle a really fast cube, then maybe I would recommend the previous model with springs. But if you just want a really fast cube, then definitely go for the Maglev. Now I recommend that you realise that with Maglev, it will make the cube a lot faster, which could mean that the cube could be hard to control. Like when I did my first solve on this cube, I thought it was way too fast, but as I became used to it, I no longer find this cube to be too fast, and now this cube really suits my turning style. If you're on a budget, then I would recommend the 2020 model because it's cheaper, but the newer model is only £3 more expensive. So if you're willing to spend a little bit of extra money, then maybe go for the 2021 model. Now, if you already have the 2020 model and you want to switch, I do think you would like the 2021 model, but both of these cubes are still very similar. Although I do prefer the newer model, I still think the older model is very good. But something about the speed of the newer model just makes it just really fun to solve. Like, because the new model is very fast, I've been able to get some extremely good times on this cube. Like, I've been getting some pretty good singles on this cube, like sub 9, sub 8. Overall, I think the 2020 model is the safe option. However, the 2021 model, it is my favorite because it's fast, but depending on your turning style, it could be different. Anyway, each of these cubes are cubes I would highly recommend. I'll leave a link in the description down below to where you can find both of these cubes. Remember, this video is sponsored by speedcubing.org, and thank you so much to them for sending me the RS3M 2021. If you want to see a complete unboxing of the RS3M 2021, I'll leave a link in the top card. Subscribe and like if you enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Happy cubing!